Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Learn English at Home. I'm your host, Lisa, and today we have a fun story and a list of useful vocabulary. Have you ever had a really bad morning? Our story is all about that. Stay tuned and try to spot the new words. We'll explain them as we go. Ready to improve your English with us?
Hi everyone, I'm Mark. I'm excited to join you today. As you listen, think about your own morning's good or bad. And don't forget, if you have questions, leave us a comment. So, shall we jump into Carl's story and learn together?
Let's start our story. It was the worst morning ever. When Carl woke up, he realized that he didn't do his astronomy and chemistry homework. Mark, can you explain what astronomy means?
Absolutely. Now, let's explain that word. Astronomy is the study of stars, planets, and space. For example, if you like looking at the night sky and learning about planets, that's astronomy. And chemistry is the science of how substances react with each other, like mixing baking soda and vinegar at home.
Great explanations, Mark. So Carl forgot his astronomy and chemistry homework. Have you ever forgotten your homework? It can really make your day stressful.
Right after that, Carl heard that the forecast called for rain, which would affect his baseball practice. Do you know what forecast means?
Let's pause and explain. A forecast is a prediction, especially about the weather. For example, if the forecast says it will rain, you might bring an umbrella. I always check the weather forecast before leaving the house.
Exactly. So Carl worries his day will get even worse. When the weather changes your plans, it can be disappointing, right?
Suddenly, Carl's mother yelled, "Take out the garbage right now!" Carl went outside and came back all wet. Now, wet means there is water on you or something you have. For example, after walking in the rain, your clothes are wet.
That's right, Lisa. Carl was wet because it was raining. Do you ever have to do chores like taking out the garbage, even when it's raining? Sometimes life's small problems can make a day feel much harder.
Very true. Even little things like getting wet can change your mood. Let's keep following Carl's tough morning.
Next, Carl walked to class. He put his umbrella on the shelf and sat in the third row. The teacher asked why his umbrella was on the floor. Lisa, can you explain shelf and row?
Sure. A shelf is a flat space on a wall where you put things like books or umbrellas. A row is a line of things, like seats in a classroom. So, Carl sat in the third row and put his umbrella on a shelf.
Perfect. Then, Carl told the teacher not to blame him for the umbrella. Now let's explain blame. To blame, someone means to say they are responsible for something bad. For example, if you blame someone for breaking a vase, you say it's their fault.
Because of the umbrella, the teacher sent Carl to the principal out of spite. Let's talk about principal and spite. The principal is the person in charge of a school. If you do something out of spite, it means you want to be mean or hurt someone's feelings.
Exactly. Maybe you've seen someone do something just to annoy another person, like hiding a friend's book out of spite. Going to the principal can feel scary, especially if you think you didn't do anything wrong. How would you feel in Carl's place?
After that, Carl had a geography test. Despite studying, he didn't know the answers, so he started drawing lightly on his paper. Let's explain those words. Geography is the study of where things are on Earth-like countries and rivers.
Yes, and despite means even though. For example, despite the rain, you still go outside. Lightly means to do something gently, not hard. If you draw lightly, you don't press too much with your pencil, so your drawing is soft and easy to erase.
Great! Carl was stressed, but he tried to relax by drawing lightly on his test paper.
Carl drew a huge dinosaur. What if it were real? Let's talk about dinosaur. Dinosaurs were big animals that lived millions of years ago. Some were as big as buses.
That's right. In Carl's imagination, his dinosaur made him famous at school. Fame means being well known by many people. For example, movie stars have a lot of fame.
Exactly. Carl's classmates called him a genius for having a dinosaur. A genius is a very smart person. Maybe you know someone who is a genius at math or music.
It's fun to imagine wild stories like this. Daydreams can make a bad day feel better.
In Carl's dream, he taught his dinosaur to be gentle and put it on exhibit. Gentle means kind and calm, not rough or mean. For example, you should be gentle with a small animal.
Good point. An exhibit is a place where you show interesting things. For example, a museum has a dinosaur exhibit. Carl wanted people to see his gentle dinosaur.
To see the dinosaur, Carl's classmates had to pay an admission fee. Admission is the act of letting someone enter. For example, you need an admission ticket to go into a concert.
What a creative business idea! Sometimes imagination helps us solve problems or even make money in real life.
But Carl's dinosaur could interfere with math class too. Interfere means to cause problems or stop something from happening. For example, loud noises can interfere with your studying.
Exactly. Carl's idea was super. Here, super means really good or excellent. For instance, if you do a super job on your homework, your teacher will be proud.
But when the teacher said, "It's time to turn in your tests," Carl realized he hadn't finished. Sometimes, daydreaming can interfere with getting things done.
Let's review today's vocabulary. I'll say the word and Mark will give an example. Ready? Admission.
Admission. The admission ticket to the movie was $5.
Astronomy.
Harold loved watching the stars, so he decided to study astronomy.
Blame.
My mom blamed me for something I didn't do.
Chemistry.
In chemistry class, the professor taught us about chemical reactions.
Despite.
We still played the game despite the cold weather.
Dinosaur.
I like to see the dinosaur bones at the museum.
Exhibit.
There was an animal exhibit at the fair.
Fame.
He had fame and fortune, but he was not happy.
Forecast.
The forecast says that it will rain all week.
Genius.
Since she was a genius, she easily passed all of her school exams.
Gentle.
He is very gentle with the baby.
Geography.
I had to draw a map for geography class.
Interfere.
My little sister always interferes when I'm trying to study.
Lightly.
Draw lightly so you do not tear your paper.
Principal.
My school's principal can be very strict with the rules.
Row.
James put all of his toy soldiers into neat rows.
Shelf.
I keep my clothes on a shelf in my closet.
Spite.
He snuck into his sister's room and stole her bag out of spite.
Super.
My dad said I did a super job cleaning the house.
Wet.
Since my dog was wet, he tried to shake all the water off his body.
Great job, everyone. For memorizing vocabulary, try to use new words in your own sentences, write them on sticky notes, or draw pictures to help you remember. Practice makes perfect.
Let's think about Carl's story. Sometimes, bad days happen to everyone, but Carl used his imagination to make his day better. Have you ever used creativity or daydreams to solve a problem or feel happier?
That's a great point. In real life, imagination can help us manage stress or come up with new ideas. Maybe next time you have a tough day, you can draw, write, or invent a fun story just like Carl. Now, here's a question for you. What would you do if you found a dinosaur at school? Would you make it gentle like Carl or do something else? Share your ideas with us in the comments or with a friend.
We'd love to hear your answers. Practicing English by speaking or writing your thoughts really helps your skills grow. Don't be shy, give it a try.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you for joining us on Learn English at Home. Remember, every small step helps you get better at English. Don't give up, even if you have a bad day like Carl.
Keep practicing, stay curious, and enjoy learning. Here's a tip. Try to use one new English word every day this week. You'll be amazed at how much you remember. See you next time, and have a super day!